On this week's episode, it's another edition of Portugal Property Talks, and I'm joined by the chairman of the Leisure Launch Group, David Patricio. In this week's episode, we discuss best practices when dealing with Portuguese professionals and communicating with Portuguese professionals and doing business in Portugal. Basically, just don't be an ass. For those of you listening, head over to our YouTube channel to watch some of this episode. And for those of you watching, click down below and subscribe. And for the full podcast episode, head over to Google, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. And now over to my conversation with David. Welcome back, or welcome to another episode of Portugal, The Simple Life. And it's another edition of Portugal Property Talks. I'm joined once again by the chairman of the Leisure Launch Group, David Patricio. David, how are you? Welcome back.
I'm good. It's good to be back, Dylan. And how are you?
I'm very good. I'm looking forward to a nice break over the summer. Summer in Portugal is amazing. What are you looking forward to?
Summer is amazing. We have a home in the Algarve. So we just switch off. We go down there and we're there for pretty much just over a month. And I try and disconnect from everything possible and live the life that we offer people every day. I just do nothing. I walk down to the village. Everybody in the village knows me. I sit down at the coffee shop. They all know me. I don't need to ask. They really just bring it to the table. They know what I want. The restaurants, I know most people in the restaurants, fresh. I mean, how much better can you do than that?
You guys got that restaurant there where you literally eat on the pavement.
On the sidewalk, yeah.
The traffic stops while the guy's carrying the fish back to the tables. It's awesome.
And just how people have the patience. Guys, nobody's in a rush, driving their big Ford SUV. Stop, let the man pass with these sardines, and then we'll carry on with our day. Amazing.
What are some of those reasons that you think people are coming here to Portugal briefly?
There's something that the Portuguese have been able to export for centuries, just a really balanced approach to life, a much calmer way of approaching life, a calmer way of looking at life, and just a much safer way to live. And I just felt that my family deserved a much calmer way of life. And that's what Portugal was for us. We found balance. Obviously, the climate is great, but for me, the most important is the people are good, and it permeates into everything that they do. Always remind yourself of why you came here, what attracted you. Things are calmer. Things take the time that they take, but so is the quality of life with it. So the benefits far exceed the negatives. I find it quite sad. When I hear people making these comments about Portuguese people. If this was in the US, if this was in Belgium, if this was in Indonesia, it would be different. It's not. It's not Indonesia. It's not the US. It's not another country. This is here, and things work. They just don't work in the manner that you understand them. And that is always a huge challenge for people to realize that it just works differently, and you need to be patient. And the first person who needs to adjust in this relationship is the visitor, is the person who's coming here. And that for me has helped me. I've said this a million times. This is the country that I want to live in. This is the country that I want to die in, because I want to be surrounded by people that care and live this really, really calm life. There's this false perception that Portuguese people are, because they're so kind, because they're so passive, that they have no backbone, that they can't put their foot down. This is a complete misconception.
Mm-hmm.
I always remind people this, the Romans tried to control, Caesar tried to control the Portuguese. It wasn't possible. Napoleon tried to invade the Portuguese. Wasn't possible. The Spaniards have tried to take over Portugal for hundreds of years. The Moors tried. Listen, this is not a population without a backbone. This is a population that knows its values, and will stand up for those values.
Yeah.
So treat them with the respect that they deserve. Yeah. It's a mature country. It's a country that's been around more than any other country, any one of our neighbors. It's a country that has been through all the cycles of life. It's been rich, it's been poor, it's been rich again, it's been poor. It's been through all of it. It's a mature country. It's a wise country. It's kind of how you would look at a grandparent that you have a huge amount of respect for, that is quiet, listens, understands, but has a much clearer view on life. This is the Portuguese culture. It's a wise, wise culture.
A few things that people should be aware of when dealing and communicating with Portuguese professionals. So in this scenario, we're talking about property professionals, perhaps a real estate agent, perhaps a project manager, perhaps a
lawyer's
property manager. Yeah. What, just a couple of tips that people should be aware of when dealing with these kind of professionals.
One is respect. The professionals that you're working with are all licensed people. They are all educated. It's available on Google. You can look. Portugal has one of the highest levels of education, the most educated people with university qualifications. Treat them with the respect that they deserve. Be kind, be friendly. When they tell you that they will contact you when things change, be patient. They will. They have no reason and absolutely no intention to try and rip you off in some way. Just be patient. They are doing their job. You insult them, which is quite a cultural thing, difference. So often people will say to me, where's the challenge? It's a mentality thing. When you put your trust in a professional's hands, let him do his job. That's what he needs to do. He doesn't need to report to you every single day. That's offensive. Just like you in your own country wouldn't do that to your lawyer or wouldn't do that to your accountant, the same applies in Portugal. Give them the respect that they deserve and keep checking yourself. Are my expectations being unreasonable? Yeah.
Circling back from that to dealing with professionals, don't shoot the messenger.
The things that people will write in their emails, I'm like, oh my God. And a lawyer, a accountant, they will communicate with the authorities for you, but the response from the authorities is 100% in the authorities' control. So if the licensing office, project managers, exactly the same. Project managers will communicate with in this case, possibly the contractor. But remember that any change that you're asking for needs to go through not only the contractor, it needs to go to the architect. The architect then passes it on to the engineer, the structural engineer. The structural engineer then passes it on to the engineer who does the insulation and sound and insulation. It then needs to go over to the engineer to check the impact that it will have on energy usage in the property. There's a whole lot of processes that need to go on that then go back to the council, who then have their own due diligence that they need to follow.
Yep.
It's not the Wild West.
I've never said this to you, but just let's unpack this four-word phrase that I think people should just maybe apply. I'll get a bit of heat for this. It's fine. I've got heat for a lot of things on this podcast. Don't be an ass. Just don't be an ass.
Just be nice, man. Be nice, be patient, and people will always, always treat you well. Don't be, using your word, don't be the ass that jumps the queue, goes and stands in front and starts shouting. You're not going to get anywhere. People are doing their job. So this very often, and it was a really interesting I was invited to participate on a talk in London recently. And on the podium was a Portuguese lawyer, quite a well-known lawyer. I don't want to mention names, but well-known in the international market. And they were talking about processes and things like this. And then she said to us, she said to the audience, no news is good news. And people were like looking at her. She said, we are professionals. We know what we're doing. Trust us. When we need you, we will contact you. Until that point, trust me. Please do not send me 100 emails to tell me, to ask me about the process, to ask me about whether I've received the email that I'd received. She was clear. She said, trust me, I'm a professional. We know how to do our job. When we need you, we will call you. And I thought, what a lovely introduction to how Portuguese professionals work.
Okay. It's a good place to wrap up. I don't want to be an ass, so I'm going to let you go have I'm going to let you go have your coffee.
Oh, actually, I was looking at my phone was beeping here.
Coffee time.
Coffee time. Luigi was already calling me. Coffee time.
I'm going to let you call it, David.
That's a wrap.
So thank you once again to our guest, and thank you to all of you for listening. Please subscribe, share with your friends, give us a thumbs up, and please leave a comment or a review. We always love to hear from you. Don't forget, Portugal The Simple Life also has a magazine, so download it. It's for free. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode, and as we say in Portugal, sejas bem-vindo. Welcome to The Simple Life.